We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic hardware skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or hardware problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through CNET Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again, the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project, but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic handwear skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or handwear problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having then the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at
So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our last day of presentations. For the session this morning, I want to bring to us Dr. Mwiti to give his presentation. I know he has another virtual event that is happening in a few minutes. So we wanted to understand the work that he's doing. He's my colleague here at the directorate. He's in charge of research. So I hope the media team yourself. Okay? Okay, good. So Daktari, karibu sana.
Thank you. Also invite my team.
And the team, yes.
So good morning, everyone. Joseph, as Dr. Chege has said, and welcome you to our presentation this morning. Basically, we've been working on a project to fabricate an oxygen generating equipment, and this is aimed at reducing the crisis, the crisis of the high shortage for oxygen that we have in our hospitals, as well as for industrial purposes. So basically, we've developed a material, an adsorbent material, which is able to separate oxygen from the air. Our raw material is just air, and that is what we are using to obtain the oxygen gas. We've heard of people dying due to lack of oxygen in our country for the last 1 year or so, and this has been due to COVID-19 and of course other ailments that require oxygen. So I will invite Ishmael, one of our students, to continue and do the presentation, then I will do the demonstration on the equipment. The equipment that we have is a prototype, and we hope that in the next 1 month or so, we shall have the final product. So welcome, Ishmael, and this is Ishmael, Purity, and Anna. So Ishmael, you can proceed from there.
Thank you much, Dr. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'll invite Hannah to take us through.
Imagine if this room was not ventilated. Of course, all of us would be in few minutes or an hour or two, all of us would start suffocating. So after the first confirmation of the corona cases in the world, we have had crisis. Corona has taught us a lot. Every one of us has a story to tell, economically, socially, but also it has also affected our health sector. One of them being the shortage of oxygen. And you have learned that oxygen is not only essential to us, but also a basic need to human life. So currently, we have the oxygen from our slide. This is the oxygen crisis in India, in Indonesia, and currently in Kenya. So the demand of oxygen for a normal, any other patient in the ICU is 2 to 5 liters. That is about 720 liters of oxygen in a day. For a corona patient, we have 15 liters in a minute, and in a day, it's about 2,200 liters. So in a case we have 200 patients, the patients in ICU will require about 150 liters of oxygen. But for corona patients, 200 corona patients will require about 4.3 million amount of oxygen. That is for one hospital. But the confirmation of these cases each day is growing. So if yesterday there was confirmation of 500 cases, today 500 cases, tomorrow 500 cases, and maybe a unit is supplying 320 liters in a day. So what will happen? What has happened is that the amount of oxygen is becoming deficient, and this is leading to a lot of crises. Currently, in April, we had Kenyatta National Hospital announcing that they cannot continue with the surgeries because of the oxygen shortage in the unit. And now that is causing a lot of crises in the country. The other one is also oxygen, not only in the hospitals, it is also required in the aquarium, the oil and gas industries, welding, and all that. For accessibility of oxygen, oxygen is only accessible in the referral and the level 5 and level 4 hospitals. So what about the dispensaries? What about the clinics that most of us can afford and go there? So if we had a case of the MP, Justus from Kakamega, where he was being airlifted from Kakamega to Nairobi and he died on the way due to oxygen shortage. What about the Kenyan who is in the village, who is supposed to be transported using a motorcycle or a car? What will happen to that Kenyan? And that is why we are focusing on our project. We focus on even the dispensaries and the clinics. So among the problems that are causing the oxygen shortage, 3 out of 10 facilities, they lack regular supply. 9 out of 10 hospitals, they lack piped oxygen, and the others lack oximeters. The reasons for this inadequacy of oxygen: one, we have the expensive equipment. The equipment costs from 10 to 15 million for exporting it. The other one, we have the high cost of setting up the production plant. So currently, this week there has been a development. The Vihiga oxygen plant has broken down due to the power failure. So in such a situation, if when installing the plant, they never took the precautions of upgrading the power, such cases they come through. If it is a unit like in Nakuru in April this year, we had the breaking down of the same the level 5 hospital because of power failures, where it was producing 80 gas cylinders to 40 gas cylinders. So in such cases, it is because of the cost of setting up and installing the plants. Then the other one is the expensive import duties and taxes. There's also another development in the country. There's a plant that is stuck in Mombasa because of the tax rate in the country. Yes, I invite Purity.
Thank you. So we have been able to come up with a low-cost technology, as you can see it here, and it will be the first Kenyan-made technology, which is 60% saving compared to the imported ones. And also it will ensure continuous production because it can be powered, electric powered and also solar powered. So in case of power shortage or stuff, it can be, you can use solar on the same. So we are aiming at selling this or the oxygen to dispensaries, clinics, agriculture. We have the oil and gas industries, the welding, like basically everything that needs oxygen we can sell to them. Similarly, we can install the unit to your place. Okay, like if you would want it installed, we can install to your place where you pay a certain amount of money and then the rest you pay according to how you consume the oxygen. On the same, we have a refilling of gas cylinders. For those who do not wish to have the unit with them, we can refill the gas cylinders for them. Also, we have licensing of other companies to manufacture it on our behalf, and then from there we'll get some good money. For the achievement, you can see the prototype. It's here, it's the same. Yes, we've already produced the oxygen and we've tested the purity. It is 80%. And for medical purposes, oxygen, which is from 75%, can be used on a patient. And it is able to be solar powered too. This is the 4-patient unit. We have another one, which is the 15-patient unit. So our next step is to invite the Kenya Bureau of Standards and the Kenya Pharmacy and Poisons Board to certify our unit. So I'll invite Ishmael.
Thank you very much. Now, if this project is taken into the country today and we begin the development of this project, what are some of the benefits that we're going to enjoy as a country? The major benefit is that we'll have increased accessibility of oxygen, because if we can access oxygen in the little hospitals near our villages, near ourselves, we will be able to save more lives. And in addition to that, we'll have a reduction of mortality rate. Because if you only have to get to level 5 hospital to get oxygen, what if you get oxygen from a dispensary near you? So if someone was to die through the way, they would be saved near to their home. Again, we would have reduction of congestion in referral hospitals, because if most of the patients that have to be taken to the referral hospital for oxygen, now they can be distributed to different counties where there's ease of access to oxygen, it means that there will be less congestion in the referral hospitals. Again, there will be creation of jobs and wealth, because in the manufacture of this thing, we'll need manpower, and therefore we are creating jobs for everyone. And then we can turn the economy to, from importers to exporters, because as you saw in the introduction, it's not only Kenya that's suffering. There's Tanzania, there's Uganda, there's also countries like India, there's Indonesia. So if we can begin mass production of this product, we can begin exporting and we can bring more income into the country. We, as the innovators, we ask for strategic partnership for project piloting. We look forward to making a bigger unit, one that can produce 100, that can serve 100 patients at a go. We want to produce a bigger unit that can save 200 patients at a go, and that is why we're asking for strategic partnerships. Again, we want to upscale this project so that it can move forward. This is the team that has been working on this project. We have our lead innovator, Dr. Joseph Mweti. We are the research team, Purity Wangoi, Hannah Nyokabi, and I, Ismail Kinoti. And we also have our technical, partner technical team that are Anthony Siringi and Rogers Mwalo. And we appreciate this school, the Meru University of Science and Technology, and the Olive Med Supplies Limited. I invite Daktari to showcase how this project works.
Thank you, Ismail, Purity, and Hannah, for the good work. Basically, the chemistry of gases is quite straightforward. As I mentioned earlier, that the raw material that we need for us to do this is air. So basically, in our project, we anticipate that we shall be selling air to people. And that's a very good selling point because air is everywhere, and therefore we don't anticipate that there will be a shortage of our raw material. On this equipment, what we've done is we've developed a material, an solvent material, which is filled in this column, and this is where all the science is. The material is able to, once you, from the compressor here, we're able to suck. That's okay. Okay, thank you. Basically, this is the circuitry of the equipment. The final product will not show this. It will just be a cabinet, and you're not able to see all this circuitry. It will just be a cabinet, and then you're able to open and see. But while you're buying, you only see something which is closed completely. But for the purpose of this pitch, we like to show you just a few components. So what we've developed is a material which is filled here. And once we get the air, it normally gets to the compressor, and from the compressor, then it is pushed towards the columns. And here in the columns, we're able to remove nitrogen, we're able to remove carbon dioxide, and also the noble gases. Once the noble gases have been removed, then the remaining the remaining gas is oxygen. Of course, at this point, because of the high temperatures, then the water vapor is also removed at this stage, and the air which is getting here is quite hot. And the adsorption, of course, of these other gases occur at this point, and this is the material which we have developed. And of course, this is now our trade secrets, and it's what we are filling in these columns. Basically, once you connect to power, of course, as I said, the raw material is air, and we hope that we have enough air here. We switch off the equipment. What we are likely to see is that the air will be sucked in here. It is going to be taken through the columns. Now, the noble gases, nitrogen and carbon dioxide, will have to be removed from at this point through depressurization. So at this point, we have got oxygen. We have got air, oxygen exiting through this point, but the other gases will be exiting through this point because we don't need them. But just in case we want to, the next point would be to take up the nitrogen which we are wasting from here and maybe use it in veterinary science and medicine and so forth for maybe artificial insemination, semen storage and so forth. So it's still useful later. And at that point, what we are going to produce from this end is maybe in the hospital ward. This is the other side that you see in the hospital ward. And basically we have got the humidifier, these containers, because the patient does not take dry oxygen because it's likely to interfere with the breathing system. Therefore, the oxygen which is produced is normally put to some water to humidify that oxygen before you can take it to the receiver. So from here, it's just connected to a receiver, the patient in a ward, and so forth. We have tested this gas, and I'm happy that it's actually meeting the standard. Yesterday we did a confirmation trial, and yesterday it was 80%. For the hospitals, for our patients, the recommendation is 70%. So we are doing quite well. For industrial purpose, anything above 60%, it's okay. But for medical purpose, anything above 70% is okay. Ours is, as at yesterday, it was 80%, and these are the good news. At this point, I will switch it off. So what you're going to see here is the gas getting in, and so this is what happens. So from this point, the patients are able to receive the oxygen. So what we are seeing here is the oxygen gas being bubbled for the patient to receive. So any patient can receive this oxygen from this point. Now, on the other side, we have got the two columns again. The air is coming in through this point. Once the air comes in, it's pumped to the columns where we have got our material that we have developed. And at this point, we have the two columns. At one point, the one column is working. It is the one doing the adsorption. After some time, we switch to another one so that this one now regenerates to remove the waste. So what we are moving here is the waste. The sound that you can hear, the click sound, is the changeover from one column to the other column. So that this column is generating the gas. The other column takes time to regenerate the waste, and the waste are emitted from here. If I move this knob, it could be a bit noisy, but here we have got a silencer to make it not very noisy. And you have got a fan just to cool the system because it's a bit hot from the compressor here. Basically, that's the simple process that we have. We have done the timing for this so that after 1 minute or so, it changes to the other column. And this kind of is it. And we are glad that we have been able to make it this far. We are trying to make it portable so that you are able to move it. The unit is able to serve 4 patients at the moment. And it's going to ensure continuous supply of the air, of the oxygen in the hospital. So basically, from so this is the hospital side. This is what you normally see next connected to the hospital bed. This unit only. And for this, we can extend the piping. We can pipe it to 4 patients. There's a unit which we are already working on at the workshop, which is going to serve 14 patients. And we hope that when we invite the regulatory authorities, they will be able to give us a nod of okay, and then we can get to the market. Thank you very much. We invite the questions, and we'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Let's appreciate them. Any questions? Any concerns? Maybe while you think, they are thinking of your concerns, actually I have a concern.
Okay.
We know that there are some gases, but even a small percentage of them if you breathe them, they will be disastrous to the body.
Yes.
So you say that your oxygen is 80% pure.
Yes.
What are these 20% impurities?
Okay. Good. Basically, imagine what you are breathing is more impure than this. Because what you are breathing is oxygen which is 21% pure. So with me, I've gone a lot higher. For you, ordinarily, you don't need 80%. You only need 80% if you are in critical condition, your oxygen saturation level is low, and for that case, it's mostly for the patients maybe in ICU or who need some critical care. So actually when we are testing using the analyzer starts from 21%. That shows you that what you are breathing is what is in the air. Then it moves all the way to show you the purity for this. And now, the rest, what we might say is impure, is very good for you. That's what I'm trying to say, that what you might fear as impure is actually also very good for you, because ordinarily here we are taking 21%. Yeah, thank you.
Another concern?
Yes, please. Yes, Dr.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. This is very good, and I really want to laud you and your team. My question is it ready to go to the market immediately?
Thank you, Dr. Actually, as I've said, we only need 2 more steps. One step is to have this certified by the equipment, because now we are making it as a medical device, and the medical devices are certified by the Kenya Poisons and Pharmacy and Poisons Board. Therefore, they will certify the equipment. If we want to do this plant and package or fill gas cylinders, and there are many people who actually need to buy the gas only. For the gas, we get to Kenya Bill of Standards, then they certify that this oxygen is good for medical or for industrial use. And so far, the highest bar is for medical use. For industrial use, it's 60%. Ours is, as of yesterday, after several confirmations, it's 80%. So it can be used for both medical and industrial, and we still sell. The other need that we could be having to get the market is the capital. Just some seed funding, and this project we are able to sell several units. Actually, I would wish that you could have such another session where we would have done now the compartment, like it would look as beautiful as the ones for Catherine here, where you have got a cabinet which has undergone some powder coating. And then all these that might look, the prototype is not always very, very decent to look at, but that's the beginning. So we have a cabinet for this that is closed. So you don't see all this. Like a patient now seeing this might be afraid, but the patient will only be able to see this oxygen circuit, these oxygen circuits only, and this part. I think that's what patients see. But behind the other side is all this will be happening. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Daktari. I think just to tell the audience, this is our objective. Our objective is commercialization. We say the theme of this Innovation Week is commercialization. And once we see prototypes like this, then we want to assure everyone that this will hit the market. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes. Dr.
Thank you. It is a very wonderful prototype if it goes through the processes. One thing that I was wondering a bit, whether you can still silence, it's still a bit noisy, or can you put it very far away and maybe pipe it?
Okay. Thank you.
For the patient in the ward,
yes.
I think that noise is not
okay.
easy.
So actually, the distance between the source from these pipes, all that happens is actually this remains like 50 meters away. So the piping is done to the ward from wherever. The generation could be done here. The ward is 50 meters from here. And actually, this is just for, we just wanted to put everything together for you to see it in one equipment. But basically the distance from where it is being produced to where it is being consumed is a bit far, normally. Yeah. It's more noisy than what you can hear here at this point, but yeah. Thank you.
Another concern?
Yes, please. We would like to hear more so that we can get, as we get to the final product, we'd like to hear more of these comments so that we're able to fine-tune them. Yes.
One, I would say I love the presentation and everything and the idea. Okay. It's a good thing. So my question is, now it comes from what our doctor said there about now the noisy and then the distance.
Yes.
So apparently you are filtering with the shorter distance. What about the longer distance? How is it going to be with the purity?
Okay. Thank you. The purity is not affected by distance. What might change only in terms of distance is the pressure. Actually, this morning, when I connected here, I'm still struggling with pressure. There's too much pressure that is being generated here. Actually, I even sent someone so that we could adjust the pipes more because the pressure is too much. Actually, that's what we have been doing here, trying to tighten the pipes a bit because they are opening up because of the too much pressure. So when we talk about it serving 4 patients, we are sure that wherever the patients will be, it's able to reach them within a certain radius because the ones, we know the people who need oxygen where they are supposed to be. So normally you calculate from there. You don't need to put the equipment very far away. If it is in the theater, you don't locate it so far away, just next to the hospital theater. If it's in the ward, you don't place it at the gate. It's just close. So those are the things that the medical engineers, we are glad that we are also working with the medical engineers. Anthony and Rogers are medical engineers. And that is normally what they do for a living. And they have assured us that whatever the distance, it's able to check on that. And maybe, I think as I answer your question, there's one from Rogers that he asked about the purity. Basically, if you are in the hospital theater, apart from even checking the purity, there's another equipment where it goes through before it is getting to the patient. And if it does not meet the requirement, the patient will not be able to inhale it. So there are many checks before the patient takes up the gas. Yeah. Thank you.
One more final concern.
Yes, please.
There are many gas manufacturing outlets.
Yeah, sure.
Now, when we turn it round from the business model point of view, are we able to convince that this is cheaper in terms of costing? Could be. Have you thought about that, Doctor?
Okay, thank you. That one I can say now for a fact, that this will be much cheaper. This, I'm yet to know another group that is manufacturing this. Because most of what we have in Kenya at the moment are imported devices. And the ones which are imported are serving the so-called referral hospitals and high caliber kind of hospitals, like the level 5, the Kenyatta National Hospital, and so forth. And what we have are the people who have a problem, are the people in dispensaries, the small health centers, the private hospitals, those ones, and they're everywhere. Before you get to level 5, like Meru level 5, you have gone some distance. And that distance could mean life, could be the difference between your life and death. That's our market niche. And we want to get the market in 3 ways. One is through the sale of this equipment. We can sell for you the equipment. That's number one. And definitely that, because we are developing it locally, through locally available materials, our costs are far much lower. Secondly, through subscription. If just in case there is a private hospital or a public hospital and they do not have the capacity to buy the equipment, we can install the equipment for them. Then we meter the amount of oxygen that they are consuming. That way, we'll be selling for them the oxygen only. We'll not be selling to them the equipment. The other way is to refill the cylinders. So you just bring your cylinders. We only need to add another component here for refilling. And once we add the refilling component and the storage, so you just bring your cylinders, and from our source, we are able to fill for you the cylinders. And once we fill for you the cylinders, then you're okay. At the moment, the companies, like the companies that are doing the selling of gases, people are just having the gas cylinders refilled. I'm not sure of one where they are making the equipment here locally. No. Yes.
Thank you.
So maybe our competitors are in China, Malaysia, and so forth. Thank you, sir. Yes. Yes, Catherine.
Yeah, I just want to commend you for the good job that you've done. This is very timely, especially during this time of COVID. We've lost very many people just because of lack of oxygen. And seeing you come with this, and Meru University come with this innovative product, is beneficial not only to the university but also to the community at large. My concern actually was the noise, because I was imagining this in exploitation.
Okay.
You already answered that.
Okay.
Now, going to market, you want to go with both the product, the machinery, and the product, or you want to try the product first before you do the machinery? Because I would think the product first would work better for the time being, because like you go and install it in a hospital or a clinic, a small clinic, and sell the oxygen to them, it could be you could get even revenues faster than the machine. Then for the machine, it is a one-off. Once I buy it as a clinic, I'll not need to come back to you. But unless the costing is there, how much is that machine, that unit?
It depends on the one that you want to buy. So at the moment we have one. Once this is finished, because these are a prototype,
yeah.
This will be for 4 patients. Can serve 4 patients. The one in the workshop at the moment we are working on will serve 14 patients.
And what is the cost?
Now it depends on what you're looking for.
Like
this one?
Yeah.
This one will cost you something like $1 million shillings only. $1 million shillings only.
Maybe you can go to market with the two.
Yes.
They can't afford the equipment,
yes.
Lease it. You know, with leasing, you are assured of revenues every time.
Yes, actually.
Like on a monthly basis or something.
Yeah. The one I was talking about, the subscription.
The subscription, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. for your team. This is actually impressive work. It's
especially in the face of COVID-19. Now, I have just been looking at it. I heard you say that the raw material is the air, and I'm imagining this being set up in a hospital, and where it just sucks the air and purifies it. I'm thinking the purification unit, and whether you think sometimes some air might be polluted, because in hospitals the setups are different. So have you thought about, when you set up a unit and the air there around is polluted maybe with things that you have not factored in your forum, that this could cause some contamination of the air? Then the other one is about, we talk of the pricing, talking of a new price. And then we are looking at the target market, those dispensaries that people are not able to go to the hospital. Will you consider something cheaper for them? Because, okay, maybe if we are talking of private units, probably we can think of financing to acquire such an activity. But I'm thinking about the government setups where most of the clinics do not even have the silence. Would you have a product fair for them for the poor maybe to reach out to the poor?
Okay, thank you, Anne. We can start with the first question is the issue of the air around, whether how pure it will be. That is taken care of. Basically, in this unit, we have got some components, some filters that are able to remove the bacteria, all the contamination that there could be. So we have some filters in the equipment as well. Apart from the absorbent materials, we have some filters, and the filters take care of trying to purify all the air that could have been, the microorganisms, whatever that could be coming in. So that is technically taken care of completely. Such that even the air that you get here, that we are certain about the purity. Actually, when you check on it from the oxygen analyzer, that purity tells you about the quality of the oxygen that you will be having. The second one is on the mode of acquiring the equipment. Basically, as I said, there could be different options for different people. If you don't want to, you feel you're not in a position to buy the equipment, you can subscribe. You can subscribe. We give you the equipment for free, then we meter our oxygen, depending on your consumption. Like the way Kenya Power does. We just meter your oxygen demand. We just pay a fixed charge per month, and the rest varies depending on your consumption. And that way, for any hospital, I would bet they would afford, because that will be the patient paying directly, isn't it? It will not be the owners of the hospital. The cost will be transferred to the patient directly. So that's another option for the upcoming hospitals. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. I may not have understood your system very well, but essentially I think you have talked more about the quality of your produce. Are you considering quantity so much? The amount that you can generate? The oxygen, that pure oxygen that we are here?
Yes, we consider the quantity, but I think, remember, the quantity also depends on what you want, how much you want it. For example, if you can turn it on again. If, for example, when you get to the hospital, they will check your oxygen saturation level using the pulse thing. They will check your oxygen saturation. Why that is important is to know how much oxygen you need. If you have to be put on oxygen, how much do you need? Because it's not every quantity for every person. It depends on your demand. And that's why we are saying that ordinarily, any elderly person, this is the demand. But maybe a patient who is in ICU, who is on COVID-19, the demand is higher. So on that, the equipment can supply you continuously for as long as you need the oxygen. Yes.
Yeah, if there's continuum production, that's fine.
It's continuous. Once I put it on here, it can run for the rest, like, let's say 20 hours or more. And the beauty about our material that we have developed, maybe you can turn again, Ishmael. we have done a lot of studies on this material and confirmed its lifespan as well. This could last you more than 10 years on average to change this. And therefore, you can be assured that once you have the equipment, at least you have a service life of 10 years or so.
The last question from Dr.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sorry, I came late, but I've been touched by the way you've said.
Yes.
The machine is able to dosage the oxygen.
Yes.
That's what you are saying. It's metered.
Not metered. I'm saying, like for example, if you can turn it again, we keep turning. This, the oxygen flow meter,
yes.
You can adjust. It's adjustable. If you need more, we open from the flow meter here and undo more, depending on your demand. I mean your saturation level.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm getting, but the catch is you said
yes.
Somebody will be given according to their need. I don't know in what type of settings, whether in the hospitals or whether it's at homes, because oxygen itself is poisonous.
Yes.
There are some dosages you give and you kill somebody.
Yes.
And every person has different lung capacities depending on the condition which they have. So I don't know what your system is able to do in terms of storage, because ideally what we do in the hospitals, oxygen first of all is tapped, then it is stored in cylinders, and the doctors or the clinicians usually prescribe according to the need of the patient, as you say, and this need also is determined by other factors, of course depending on what condition they have. So I don't know at what point of use will this machine work? Is it only in the hospital or even at home?
Well, this not for use at home.
Oh, okay.
That one I can confirm. Not for use at home. It's in our health centers.
Okay.
Maybe the clinic, the dispensary, the level 4, level 5. They are already taken care of and referral hospitals. Yes, and this is just a simplified version of the equipment. Basically, from here you can store. Then from the storage you can pipe.
So what is the cost of setting a mini oxygen production system for an hospital with a capacity, very capacity of 100 beds?
Well, that is, I think, now where we want to get to. So far, we have only done four patients, and we are now going to another one for 14 patients. The other one now we have to work out the dynamics. There are many things that could be involved technically, and I think that is our next level.
Will it have a capacity to store oxygen in the cylinders?
Oh, definitely. You only from here, from the source, from the production source, you can store it in a big cylinder. The ones you can buy an equipment for storage, and from the storage you can continue using it. You can again fill in the cylinders and use the cylinders in the ward. But currently the hospitals are negating from using these long cylinders in the ward, because you can imagine that cylinder, if it falls, it can fall on a patient. So the better option for the hospitals that they are taking now is piped oxygen in the wards. Yeah. Thank you.
That was the last question, because we have so many projects today, and to be honest, I have to limit the number of questions so that we don't overstay here. So,
thank you.
Let's appreciate them as they raise their stage.
Thank you very much, Dr. For a good presentation. We really appreciate. Now, we had to modify the program a bit because Dr. has another meeting that starts almost now, so we didn't have the opportunity to run the keynote speech which was sent to us by one of our guests. We have a pre-recorded speech from Dr. Robert Karanja, which I want to bring it up so that we could listen to him. We've been partnering together, and so that we can listen from experts who have been in this business for quite some time.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Robert Karanja. I am the co-founder and Chief Innovation Officer with Wilco Africa. We are a business incubator and early-stage investor in the health and life sciences. And I'm also the chairman of the Association of Startups and SME Enablers in Kenya, ASEC. And I'm privileged to be able to join you today. We can virtually be able to speak to the role of academia in the knowledge economy. How can we be able to translate our research, our the knowledge that we produce into innovations and investing breadth? How do we create jobs? How do we create wealth? And how do we become an overall net producer of goods and services derived from the education and the research that we do? So we could just start off with a bit about our work as Wilco in East Africa. We were founded 6 years ago, started our operations in April of 2015. And over that time, we've been able to work with about 20 startups across East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, and also providing advisory to some of the startups in Rwanda, Tanzania. We've been able to support these startups, typically coming in at the level of a prototype of the idea, pre-revenue, to launch their products, define their business model, articulate it, and define it. And in so doing, be able to see them serve more than 2.3 million customers, generating over $2 million in revenue, creating over 3,800 jobs in our economies in East Africa. We've invested about $1 million in these startups, and we've been able to see them unlock upwards of $15 million in following investments. And the way we do this is that we're able to operate in what we call the Google incubation model, where we are both an incubator but also working and wearing the investor hat throughout. We select carefully the companies that we work with. We take the startups through a very rigorous due diligence. It takes about a couple of months to 3 months. And they pitch directly to an investment committee that is independent of us. And so it's the investment committee, the IC, that gets the final yes or no. And we then are able to negotiate with the investment committee how much do we put into the startup, what the milestones, or what should that money be able to achieve. And we similarly do this process with the entrepreneurs, and we agree on a roadmap on how to take them from where they are to their desired destination. Our technical support can be described as a very high-touch support. It usually encompasses everything from intellectual property management to how do you hire your team, human resource issues, how do you manage your finances, how do you do your market research, how do you get from prototype to manufacturing. And we do this over, as you can imagine, it takes a bit of time, over a period of more than 3 years, 3 to 4 years. And we're able to customize our approach and our support for each and every startup. And so that is a little bit about Wilco Africa. But shifting gears
to looking at where we are and where we stand as a country, as a region, as a continent. The key thing to highlight is that we are in a position where we have a really fast-growing population, which can either be a boon or it can be a bane, depending on how we manage our resources. And in regards to that, as a continent, we really have very under-leveraged capacity. If you look at health R&D in terms of, which is the area of focus that we work in at Growth, looking at that map on the left, you can realize that we have a lot more places with very little R&D activity than those that do have R&D activity. Kenya, as you can see, we are not doing that great compared to a country like South Africa or Egypt. And so the question is, how can we be able to improve on the R&D investment, and how can we do more with less? And then you also look at the same, on the right, you look again at the map for the industrial investments that have happened in Kenya over within the last 10-15 years. And you can see more of a similar pattern. And so it's quite clear that R&D and manufacturing capacity and investments are actually interlinked. And looking a little bit deeper into Africa's scientific output, typically we contribute about, on average, about 1% of the global knowledge output in terms of publications that are published and patents that are patented every year. And when you look at how that breaks down on top of Africa, you can see a single country like Malaysia, in Asia, to say truly Asia, is actually beating all of us. South Africa is the best performing country, and so if you remove it as an outlier for South Africa, you can see South Africa is actually quite low. East Africa, where Kenya is, we are really just average compared to, or we can be ranked second as a region, but we're not really all that great. And this is the total number of publications from 2003 to 2012. And you can see for East Africa, we're basically saying we did in 2012 working just a little over 5,000 publications as ESC. If you have to break it down a little bit more in terms of East Africa, where is our research, we realize that Kenya tends to be head and shoulders above the rest of the region, but to be honest, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is that, in the decade of 2002 to 2011, as a region, we actually did double our scientific output. Kenya almost, not quite double, but almost did so, from 3,000 something to about 5,000. But you can see that other countries actually did manage to literally double their scientific output within that decade. And how that breaks down is, you see it's predominantly life sciences, immunology, agricultural, environmental, plant science, microbiology, that would actually be the top 5 areas of research in terms of publication within East Africa. So, and this is some of the research that actually informed our work in health and life sciences as we grow Africa, because the question that we ask ourselves is, how can this translate to the big four, where are our health statistics, where are we not sufficient in terms of food production and we have food insecurity, and what is the disconnect between our R&D base and our capacity for production and our capacity for improving and significantly contributing to the quality of lives of our citizens. And to be honest, it's an issue that's bigger than just looking at academia and the industrial platform, but it's really about understanding the knowledge economy. What is the knowledge economy? How does it work? And in our case, how can we be able to transform the knowledge that we create in academia through the research we do, to coming up with not just ideas on how to solve a problem, but also to be able to then go to the next step of understanding what is the product market fit. First of all, can you translate the idea to a product, and then how do you then integrate that product successfully into the marketplace of other competing products and substitutes and ideas. And ultimately, in so doing, creating jobs, creating value chain that comes with industrialization, more jobs than what we see in this factory, whereby even the people who are bringing in the raw materials, the farmers, are all able to benefit. You need to create a tidal wave that will rise all boats. And to be able to do so, we need to understand two things. The first one is innovation, and the next one is also how you then build an ecosystem that can be able to advance and promote and advance innovation, and ultimately a knowledge economy. And more often than not, we tend to say research and innovation, and innovation has become a catch-all word that kind of means anything and everything. But there are different ways of looking at innovation. For me, this is one of the textbook definitions that I really love, which is to say, from the academia, as we're doing our research and coming up with new knowledge and new inventions, we ask the question of what is possible with this technology. From the entrepreneurial perspective, we want to understand what is viable in the marketplace. Yes, we've invented something, but what does that mean in the marketplace? And even more crucial is understanding what is the desirable, what is the need that is solved for the end user or the customer that you have in mind. So when we're able to link all these three, right there at the center we have the spot where innovation can actually happen. And innovation is quite complicated. It does not happen automatically. We cannot just do our research and stop there and believe that we've done a great job. The reality is it will not be sufficient. It actually requires a reliable, coordinated, and predictable flow of information among a very diverse group of people. We need to have enterprises, entrepreneurs that are looking at what's viable in that marketplace. We need to have investors that are understanding what you're doing and what that could mean for them from an investment perspective. We need to have academia that also understands how to deal with the private sector, and a government that knows how to create an innovative environment. And within that context, I also want to introduce the second definition of innovation. And this is when we think of it primarily, when I think as a scientist, as academia, as the antithesis of research. And why do I say so? We think of it purely from an inputs and processes point of view. I can define research as a process where I write a grant, I receive some funding to do the research, to generate new knowledge, and that's the process that we call research. And that process will then give us the new knowledge at the end of the equation. Innovation is actually moving in the exact opposite direction. It's basically asking, how do I start with the new knowledge that we created in research as my input and take it through a process called innovation, where I'm trying to understand, again, what we talked about earlier, the interaction between what's viable, what is viable in the technology, what's viable in the marketplace, what does the end user want. How do I go through that process and ultimately start generating money such that government and even be in a position to give the person writing grant funds or providing grant funding to researchers. So it takes totally different processes, totally different skill sets to translate new knowledge into money than it does to take new knowledge and create money and create new knowledge. And so in that case, it can be easier to look at, and probably more precise, to look at innovation as the antithesis of research. We're going in the reverse direction of the processes that we typically do for research. And to be able to succeed, we need to understand what we call the systems of innovation, and this is where we start in words of the triple helix. Government being the ones who set the agenda. It's government that came out with Kenya Vision 2030. It's government that says we're going to focus primarily on the big four, universal health coverage, how do you achieve that, manufacturing, how do you increase its contribution to GDP, and it's academia that can be able to take those challenges that government poses and do research, invest in creating new knowledge, technologies, inventions that can be able to solve or can be able to address the challenge that the government is posing, because government to work seamlessly together is what we call the triple helix. And in between the triple helix, we are realizing more and more that we do need to have organizations like Dual Group, incubators, accelerators, innovation hubs. These are predominantly non-profit organizations that will come and be able to midwife that process. Because as I said earlier, it cannot happen automatically. We need to be able to purpose to create relationships, linkages, nurture them, and to be able to actually literally facilitate or midwife the movement of ideas across the different stakeholders, across different divergent processes, requiring different skill sets. So how do we ensure that we don't drop the ball in between any of these parties, or within that process or that pipeline of different processes and skill sets that are required? In the health sector specifically, this is what it actually looks like. You have organizations like yourselves at Meru University doing research, being able to train masters, PhD students, the postgraduate students primarily are the ones that really work a lot on the R&D together with the professors. And then being able to understand how do we translate that, how do we take it out of the university into industry. A lot of times we tend to think of industry in terms of big established companies, but the reality is how it works is the same people who are doing the R&D here in the universities need to be able to create spin-off companies so that the students that we are working with will not graduate with their master's and PhD programs, degrees, to go and be jobless in the marketplace, but rather they are the ones with the intimate knowledge of that technology, of the R&D output. They are able to create startups, and those startups are both industry but also supported and strategically incubated and nurtured by the academia through science parks, through innovation hubs, through incubators and what have you. And they are able to jointly partner on product development. Of course, this needs to have an enabling environment. What is the curriculum we're having? Are we teaching our students? Are we teaching, does our academia have a multidisciplinary approach? Or are there opportunities for bringing together a diverse, because as I said, the skill sets are very different, and creating linkages between different schools of science, schools of business, schools of policy and all that. We also need to, of course, understand our intellectual property management. Is there an IP policy? Is there a tech transfer capacity? We also need to understand and be able to read the financial markets. Where are investors seeing the opportunity for in the next 10 years for investment? And also the regulatory system in health, especially, everything is regulated. Right from the research that we're doing, you need to have the approval from the ethical review committees or institutional review boards, all the way to market approval for whatever product that you're bringing or whatever service that you're providing. These layers of regulatory approvals that you need to go through. And these are all the factors that will then ultimately be able to speak to the adoption of new technologies, access of these technologies for the patients, and the role of the market in distributing and making these same services and products affordable. Ultimately, what we end up with is from simple idea where we were doing research in the lab to actually starting to see economics grow, impacting people's lives in terms of the quality of their lives and their health outcomes in our health system. So what we need to be able to achieve is, I think there's quite a bit of work we need to do, starting with academia, where we need to really challenge some of the ideas that continue to hold sway. One is expecting our youth to create jobs for themselves. It is wrong in so many ways. First of all, we do know that in Africa there's a cultural bias against the youth. So they struggle to get funding to be able to implement the ideas they have. Our financial markets, if you don't have collateral, which you typically not have collateral, or the cash flows to show, you will not be able to access loans. And the other side of it is the most basic, that when you're an undergraduate, you've just gotten your first degree, you really do not have any domain expertise or experience in the industry. to be able to really solve a problem. We do, and I'm just speaking generally, of course there are always exceptions to every rule, but those exceptions are really extremely few and far in between. It actually requires a lot more hand-holding. Somebody who's probably going to the next phase of education, postgraduate or something, to start developing some level of domain expertise, and then you still will need to have actual industry experience to be able to then understand how to move from problem solution fit to product market fit. So how can we support innovation by not just leaving this to youth, but actually working with the youth as the professors, as the lecturers, to backstop them, to co-found startups with them, and to be able to support them through either research grants or innovation grants that we are able to bring in by leveraging our tenure at the universities. The second one is not looking at IP and stopping at patenting. It really cannot be, patenting is not enough. We need to speak to the investors, and the investors will not pump money into an idea because you have a patent. They pump money into it when they see what is the traction you've made, or what are the milestones you've been able to achieve in terms of reducing that idea to practice. Have you been able to find a manufacturer and set up the capacity for manufacturing? Have you thought of things like pricing? Have you found your channels to market? So being able to take the idea and reduce it to practice, both from a technical perspective, how do you move it from science to engineering to mass production? How do you build a business model around it? How do you generate demand for this solution? And have you tested the market and validated that demand? All of these things need to happen through spin-off companies. And so being able to support spin-off companies is something that we need to be able to do and should come as second nature to us as academia. And the last one is also leveraging and partnering with intermediary organizations. As I said, I am the chairman of the Association of Startups and SME Enablers of Kenya. This is an umbrella body that's bringing together more than over 40, close to 50 organizations like Blue Africa that are working across all sectors, so that it's not just about health, even agriculture, education, ICT, you name it. We have intermediary organizations that can be able to support you, again, move from problem solution fit to product market fit. And that's really all that we look for and work towards. And then be able to link you up with the investors with high risk capital. This typically comes from innovation grants or equity and quasi-equity venture capital funds. And also what we need to promote a lot more is angel investors. How do we move our psyche as Africans from not just investing in chamas and shambas, real estate, but being able to understand how to invest in things that actually create jobs. Because even if my net worth can increase just by speculating in real estate, by buying a plot and then sitting back for 5 years, coming back to sell it later at twice the price, yes, I would, but the reality is, what if that money has gone to a startup? Perhaps it could have increased 10 times, and perhaps could have employed, who knows, maybe my neighbor or my child or somebody else. And so how do we actually create a tide again that rises all the boats and stop being so risk averse? And so I think in closing, I want to just invite you as academia or your faculty or students, to embrace an ecosystem building approach. We need to appreciate that actually innovation does take more than talent, entrepreneurial talent. It takes more than the infrastructure I was talking about that we need to see more of in universities and the funding. It also requires the enabling environment. We need to have a legal policy framework that can be able to give clarity, for example. So as a public university, the intellectual property that I produce, according to the law, when I read it, it actually falls under the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. And is that the correct way to look at IP? Does that facilitate creating spin-offs adequately? Do we need new legislation, for example, for that? We also need to get government to really walk the Kenya, are we seeing it? Are we seeing cases like the COVID millionaires at KEMSA? How do we get government to actually really promote adoption of innovation and actually be the number one customer in the process of in the pursuit of creating a knowledge-driven economy? And then the last one is understanding what's the incentives for the various stakeholders. Because for academia, we have an incentive called publish or perish. And as long as you're publishing, you're being able to advance in your career and all that. But for the investor, for the entrepreneur, what's their incentive? Are they, what are we improving in terms of our ease of doing business? Are we improving in terms of our ability to attract foreign direct investment and so on and so forth? So these are the bigger questions that we also need to be able to understand and to champion. And lastly, I want to just highlight various platforms, organizations, where you can be able to plug into this conversation and actually bring the voice of academia, because out there what I really see is mostly the industry, the entrepreneurs. Academia tends to be very insulated. You're not getting to hear from you. And we have amazing platforms, starting the Kenya National Innovation Agency. They're putting together the Kenya Innovation Hub that will be starting that will be happening in December this year. We have Ministry of Industrialization that is rolling out a program known as the Kenya Industry and Entrepreneurship Project that has Startup Savannah that's creating linkages for innovators with international investors. I talked about my own umbrella body, ASEC, where I'm the chairman, and we do have an annual conference every year. So we'll be having the second one in November this year, and we'd love to see academia happening. And even at Real Grow Africa, we are building the Innovators Forum, which is really a platform that's bringing together the triple helix, academia, private sector and government, to discuss a knowledge economy, specifically looking at medical devices and diagnostics. Because as I said, the health and life sciences is actually one of the core competitive strengths we have as a country, as a region, that we need to really understand how can we exploit as we build a knowledge-driven economy. With those few remarks, I want to thank you for your time, and request that you will be able to forgive me for not being able to show up in person, and wish you the very best in the deliberations you're having. May they be fruitful, and may we see amazing output, the ideas coming out of this, and actually making their way all the way to the marketplace. Thank you.
So thank you very much. That is Dr. Robert Karanja joining us from Nairobi. The contacts. I hope we've picked a few points that can help us with the process of innovation. So thank you very much for your attentiveness. This was a pre-recorded address, so we may not have an opportunity for doing questions and answers. Thank you so much. Now, at 11:30, we will be joined again live with the Vice Chancellor from Kenya Methodist University. He is going to give also his remarks. And from there now, we'll continue now with all the presentations from the list of innovations that we have lined up for today. So when that time comes, we will have some time to listen. So I want us to have a short break of like 10 minutes, then we resume at 11:25.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge. and skills, and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic handwear skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or handwear problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through CNET Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Ni shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again, the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project, but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to enable, create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic handwear skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or handwear problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through Senate Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Ni shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again, the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project, but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic handwear skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or hardware problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having then the skills on our technologies, then they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through Senate Academy, we actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long-forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again, the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project, but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that? We first give knowledge and skills and work on the perception and the attitude of the society about persons living with challenges related to their physical frame. And in these specific terms, we are talking about learners, children, who are our subject.
And we want to empower them. We want to bring them out from the hidden places in the society, and we want to show the world that people enabled differently or people living with physical disability can achieve it. And through CNET, we will reach them.
When we started the research, our plan was to start by training trainers of trainers. So we identified our students from Meru University of Science and Technology, and Kenya Methodist University, and Murang'a University. And these students, we have trained them, and they are quite competent now. And so the intention of training these students was so that they can help us to train the teachers in the selected schools. We have also trained them on how to fabricate some of our technologies so that we don't have to import all the time, and basic hardware skills. So when they visit the schools, they train the teachers, but if there is any networking or hardware problem, anything malfunctioning, then they also correct the problems, they troubleshoot. And then from the TOTs now have helped us to train the teachers. And so with the teachers having then the skills on our technologies, they can now train the students, the pupils. And that has been done because we are not trained to teach pupils at that level. So you see, we needed that link from the TOTs to the teachers and then to the pupils. And that has been done in these schools.
Through Senate Academy, We actually appreciate this good initiative and innovation. I hope it is going to reach the long forgotten learners who have physical disabilities.
Shukrani sana kwa wale wametuletea hizi computers na watoto wamezifurahia sana.
They're able to access secondary schools and they're able to acquire technical skills that will empower them economically and socially. So that once they finish school, they're able either to equip themselves, to employ themselves, or to be employed by anyone, the government or any other person.
We expect that when the school comes back to normalcy, again the students that we have trained, they will assist us in training other students in order so that we make CNET not really being a project but something that is big enough that can be adopted in any part of the country.
We want to create an environment for the learners with special need to be able to learn with ease, access education opportunities, business opportunities, and live a dignified life. How do we do that?
Joseph Abongo. The mask?
Yeah, you can do.
Okay, thank you. I'm Joseph Abongo. I'm sorry to correct, I'm from Nairobi Technical.
No, yeah, Nairobi Technical.
Yes, I'm a trainer at Nairobi Technical. And I'm happy to be with you. As Dr. has said, my presentation is going to be brief. And I wanted to say that this is a research that I've been doing for the past 8 years. It has taken me a long time to do it. It is in the area of mathematics and it's in this the modern trend that our youth really engage in currently, and I want to call it the field of betting, right? And I asked myself if it is possible to solve, to predict the results of the games mathematically. Finally, I stumbled upon an algorithm that is able to predict the results. The algorithm reduces the event space for those who do math. It reduces the event space by 90%. So that, let's say, for example, if we have 5 matches played, and you are required to predict or to give predictions, that if you were to do your math and commercialize this, you'd actually make money. Either you score, actually the algorithm will give you the exact answer, or if it misses by 1. If somebody was to send all the results possible, and if we assume
yes, Prof.
that all the results possible are 90, you'd only need to send 10. That is economical.
You can finish. Then this is done.
Okay, thank you. So that is, I'm done. I would have only wanted to test this. We pretend that we have 5 matches. Man U playing with Arsenal, Chelsea playing with which one? Aston Villa, is it? Then which other one? Gore playing with AFC Leopards. Another one? There are 5 matches. And let's pretend.
Hi, Prof.
Okay. Can I suspend it?
Yeah, you can suspend it.
Thank you.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning to you, Amos.
Hope you can hear me.
I can hear you well.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for honoring us in today's event.
Well, we are all in the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to bring you in so that you could give your remarks to the members present here. You should be able to see them in the camera. Members, I want to bring in the Vice Chancellor from Kenya Methodist University, our neighbor university, Professor Geshoya, to give his remarks on matters innovation. And we've been running this Innovation Week from Monday up to today, and we are really glad that you could join us. So, Prof, without much ado, I want to welcome you to take over the space and speak to our innovators. Karibu sana, Professor.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, I can see you have very beautiful young people sitting there, looking very sharp, and I think that it's a pleasure, of course, to address them. And thank you, Dr. Amos, for having arranged for this very important mini Innovation Week. They are always very much encouraged, and I think I've attended some workshops where by Kenya National Innovation Agency, where I'm a member of one of the committees for commercialization of innovations. And well, they always talk about young people being driving technology and also innovations, because this world is theirs. If they don't improve on it, on what we have there, we have now, then, as I always say, if young people are not innovative, or even in also inventing new things, then that means that they are supposed to be clever than us. I'm sure even you, Dr. Amos, you tell your students to aspire to be more intelligent than you.
Yeah.
Because if they are not, then it means we are going back to Stone Age. We'll be going backwards rather than going forward. and that is part of human development, and our index will be increasing, human development index will be increasing rather than reducing. But I can see your theme was actually on finance, access to financing, agriculture, tourism, food systems in Mount Kenya region through innovations. And well, I think I can say, I'm sure you have defined what are innovations, what is the difference between innovation, inventions, and all that. So I won't get very much into that. The only thing which maybe I can take at this point, maybe which you have not done because we have not been meeting often, is to introduce myself beyond being the Vice Chancellor of Kenya Methodist University, which is your neighbor, and of course I had an invitation from your VC. I'm an associate professor in information technology or computer systems. I happen to have studied in 3 countries, in Kenya, in China, and in Britain. And I've been teaching for about 21 years. That is Moi University, before I came in 2017. And I think when I was in Moi University is when I used to interact with Meru University. The first time I came with Meru University, I think I was with the commission, and we are coming for accreditation of the programs within the school of computing. And later I became an external examiner in the same school, and I think for about two years. So Meru University is very much of me, because that is why every graduation I always attend. So you are very much of me, and it was a pleasure, of course, to realize that I have been invited there. I was actually ready to come there. Maybe that is why I have a tie. I was planning to come there physically, but when I realized that the VC is not there, then I developed cold feet. But that one is okay. Technology through innovation has also allowed us to be able to meet virtually. And of course, that one is okay because we can exchange. It's good that the network is working well. Now, in IT, of course, there are so many innovations which take place. And even now, when we are talking, they are still taking place. And the best thing is that IT is a service. It is not an edit to itself, in itself. It is actually a means to an end in all sectors, whether it is agriculture, whether it is finance and banking, whether it is tourism, whether it is medicine, whether in name it everything. IT is just a facilitator. It is just a service, and that is why if you are innovative in IT, you help everywhere. I remember, I think it's also good to share with young people. I've attended interviews where I've been asked, why have you published in everything? Don't you have any specialization? And because you are published in medicine, you are published in agriculture, you are published in education, you are published in almost everything. Of course, the answer is that ICT is a service, and it helps others. ICT alone, of course, doesn't help in any way. And of course, during COVID, we know how we have been innovative, especially in ICT area. We have come up with so many products. And by the time when COVID will be over, and then we will be assessing what happened or what contributions were made, innovations are going to contribute a lot. Even students, our own students, they innovate on how they are going to manage through COVID. Because innovation is not even restricted to universities. People, even when you are born, since you are born and you started understanding the world, what made you better than another person is because you are, of course, a bit more innovative than the other person. So, and we will continue being innovative. Of course, nowadays, if I'm sending somebody Amos some ranch by M-Pesa, it will be quite fast because I will just use biometric on my phone. Within a fraction of a second, I will have sent him money. And then I can see how much, I can see the balances, the statement, without even having to send an SMS to Safaricom to be able to send me a statement. If I want to go to bank, I also do the same, very fast. I don't have even to look for a laptop or whatever, I just use my phone very fast. Of course, that one saves a lot of time, and that time which is saved, it can be used for more important things. Of course, we have in purchasing, we also have in governance. Now, if I want to book for a passport, it's very easy to do that. If I also want to, if I am doing something which requires a certificate from the CID, is quite fast, and many other things. So we are able to do that. And all of that one is because of innovation. In medicine, of course, there is a lot of innovation which has taken place. Now, because of COVID and the social distancing, we require to have robots even ejecting people. And maybe they might be even more better than human beings who have been ejected. You remember what happened in Busia some time ago where children were ejected and they are all disabled now. We expect a robot might be better than that. It might be able to fit very well to know that. I think when we come to even something like tourism, if I want to go to know which hotels I should go to Mombasa or to book a flight or anything, it will be very easy to do that. Food. Well, I've been advised by doctors not to eat a lot of food, so I might not talk very much about food. Because they always say that as you move up and maybe you have some little more money in the pocket, then the doctor tells you stop there and then stop eating those chapatis, stop eating bread, start eating arrowroots and all those things. So me, I have reached that situation. So I might not talk about food, but through, of course, innovations in technology, there is improved food. I can know what to get. I can even go to the internet and I can find why I should not eat pumpkin or why I should eat pumpkin. So that one, of course, helps a lot. Of course, the countries which don't produce a lot of food, they can be able to find out what is being produced in Kenya because most of the farmers, they have websites, cooperative societies have websites where you can find what you want in the world and you can know what to eat. If you like snails, I know most of the people might not like snails, but we know snail farming is taking place in Kenya and people are making a lot of money from that. And you can find out who can sell you snails if you want. I think some time ago we had those other things. They were called what? Some birds.
Quail.
Quails. Even now, if now you still want a quail, you can still get one from somewhere through technology. And of course, innovation does not stop with ICT. As I said, is that everybody is innovative wherever you are. Even somebody who is in a kiosk, they have to be innovative. Just like the way I've said, even students themselves, they are innovative on how to attend lectures. Yeah, you have to be innovative. Even how to do an exam, of course, you have to be innovative. But I think what I would emphasize is that young people are very critical in innovation. And it is not just for themselves, but it is also for the future. Because what they invent is going to be used by others gradually. Well, maybe I didn't have a chance to have listened to some of the presentations which were taking place, but of course it would have been a pleasure to join you for that. And I promise you that next year you should invite me early so that I can be able to also get involved in that. I'm sure there are several ideas which have been presented there, but I didn't have a chance to listen to them. Otherwise, unless Dr. Amos, you want me to say something else, maybe, or a question or some interaction, I think I would appreciate.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Yeah. We are streaming live on YouTube, so I think I'll share the links to your WhatsApp, then you can follow us live from your office. At this point, I think I'll take only 2 questions from the participants, then we call it a day. Any questions to Professor Gishai? Or comment or observation? We also have staff who are with us, so not only the students. Director.
Mwenda is there?
No, Mwenda is supervising an exam.
Oh.
Yeah. Director, do you have any?
No, just the bank professor.
Yeah. Yeah, please. You can speak, we'll capture it from here, the camera. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, we have our director IGU, Madam Anne Kimathi. I think you will see her in the... Be louder. Just speak.
Professor, we want to thank you.
I can see her.
Can you hear her?
No.
Please speak loud.
Maybe the mic is a bit far.
Yeah. It's closer.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for your presentation.
You can't. Could you come here, please? Let me just have here.
It's here not necessary.
Or you can repeat the question if you can hear.
Actually, it's not a question.
It's not a question. And it's not even necessary.
Okay.
Oh, you have an IQ.
Yes.
Is it because I think it's very important for commercialization of innovation, because after you have made an innovation or you have improved on something which exists, or maybe a better way of doing something, then that innovation it is going to be better if you can be able to get money from it, and that one is going to encourage more people to be innovative. So just like the person who invented M-Pesa, of course the phone was existing, which means that one was an innovation on the phone, the mobile phone. But of course that innovation helped us a lot, because that is why we are able to transact money very easily. Even an ATM was still an innovation on banking. The machine might have been an innovation, but the way we access it is an innovation. So we just became innovative. But sometimes the difference between an invention and an innovation is usually very slim. But that is why we say whatever, if you are innovative and come up with a product or a better way of doing something, or a better machine than what has been existing, then you can be able to commercialize it. The act is environment for commercializing innovations, so that they are guided. If you come up with something, you can be able to register it, and then from there you can be able to make money out of it. And I think that is what you are encourage most of the young people to even start looking for jobs. Because if you can be innovative and you come up with a better way of doing something, then it means that you are going to succeed, and you can be able to make money out of that. And the government is going to be supporting you for that. And I think there is a deliberate move by Kenya National Innovation Agency to be able to achieve that.
Thank you so much, Professor. We really appreciate it.
Those ones, the director will meet in Meru, there is no problem.
Okay, okay. So maybe we can clap for the professor. Thank you very much, Professor.
I will listen now.
Okay, you're welcome.
That's my answer.
Thank you. Thank you. We can now have our first presenters. Yes, the X. Then that will be followed by Paul, the Instapack. You can come and set up.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry. My name is Alan Mutai, third year student, Meru University. I'll be presenting to you its. First of all, I want to thank God for bringing me this far and for being a helper in this innovation. my friend can introduce himself.
Good morning. My name is Michael, and I'm grateful for the Almighty God for this opportunity to present our project.
You have 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Strictly.
Yes. So it's a digital cafeteria management system. So the customer problem briefly has been health hazard of COVID-19 due to exchange of cash at the cafeteria, time wastage during cumbersome queues, inconveniences with lack of a reliable payment system, the inconvenience of not being able to order meals from the cafeteria. Yes, the cafeteria management not being able to monitor real-time sales of each and every item they sell, underutilized potential. University cafeterias can really make a lot of money, and they can scale up even to the neighboring communities. And the university cafeterias have also lost popularity among students. Also, they are missing out on a high potential money-making venture.
So basically, it comprises of five applications, and one of them being the real-time stock control system, which will be controlled by the university, and there is the user who buys the meals from the systems uploaded by the cashier. Then there is its manager who will be uploading the meals and the quantities available every day. And then there is its cashier who will be printing out the receipts for each student or staff. So our solution is to migrate core cafeteria functions to our mobile phones, smartphones. So instead of long queues, you can buy from your smartphone. Instead of total-paced service delivery at the cashier, select meals and order them from your smartphone. Instead of going to the cafeteria and fetching your meals manually or physically, you can have them, you can order the meal and have it delivered to your doorstep. To offload the cashier of all cumbersome tasks like handling cash money in the case where the cashier gets confused, like how much change he should give back, the system can allow for mobile money payment. Instead of typing the client requests, clients can pre-order from wherever they are. So the system gives the cashier a comprehensive data analysis for the items that have been purchased. The other one is to provide the university management with a comprehensive report. This includes each day's, we have included a calendar where the system, you can click on a particular date and you are able to view the analysis for that day.
So this is the opportunity that we have to allow students to purchase meals from the cafeteria via their smartphones at a fair convenience fee, allow students and staff to order meals at an affordable delivery fee, allow students to store money in their Eats wallet, which saves them from starvation during bankruptcy. Also aid in informed decision making, and also yes, the monetary operations of the system keeps record, which will help, which will make the university even opt for its over pre-existing systems. Those are photos of the product. You can see it looks very nice. This is the operations model. I'll take you briefly through this. So we have procured items for the kitchen that will be submitted to the stock control. The cafeteria manager will also, once the meals are prepared, will upload the meals to the database. Students and staff will be able to see the meals that have been uploaded to the database. They will purchase, and once they walk to the cafeteria, the cashier will give them receipts. Or they can prefer for the delivery option, whereby they will also be given their meals. All these systems report to the stock control. Yes. So this is the product, like the its manager. Okay.
Next presentation. This time. You should plan your time. 2 minutes talking, 3 minutes demo. Simple.
Okay.
Thank you. If you have questions, you can note down, then we'll take questions later. So, those who are coming next, let's have your slides in the flash so that we can immediately you come, you just load and progress. The 5 minutes are enough to introduce your work and demonstrate. Okay?
Hello everyone, I'm Paul Joroge, she's Irene.
Yes, and I'll start with the presentation. So we are focusing on solving a problem that is mostly experienced in the transport sector, where you have an issue finding a perfect area to park your car. And of course, the problems that are experienced are not one. We have insecurity in parking, where you park your car and you find that the car has been damaged in one way or another. We also have wastage of resources as you move around to find a place to park your car around town. Then you have private parking owners may experience a problem in managing their parking and unreliable payment methods. So we are coming up with a solution, and the solution is providing a reliable way of making payments, making it easier for a person to search for a location to park their car. We assure you security because we'll be dealing with private parking areas, and also we have convenient communication between the person who is parking their car and the person who owns the parking area. And the last one is giving direction to the parking. We'll show that in the prototype. We have our ways in which we use in marketing, that is advertising, word of mouth, and partnerships. So this is a list of things that we offer that the other competitors do not offer, and I will not go through them, we'll just capture them because we had made the presentation earlier. And we have our target customers, people who own cars. They are parking owners, event managers, whenever they have a large number of people and they need to manage how those people will get a perfect place to park their car. Our revenue channels are transactions. So every time someone wants to park a car, you need to make payments in hourly time schedule, or probably in a day's time, a month's time. So for that, for every amount you pay, which will have an amount that will go to the company, and then there's the monthly subscriptions, like I've already said. You can book a space for a whole month. And our unique value proposition. So the reason why we are unique is we indicate the direction. We show you the direction to the parking area. We specify the time you're arriving and the time you'll be departing. Charges are made depending on the time you have spent. And that is to avoid, if you're going for a meeting for 15 minutes, you don't have to pay for the whole day like we have current systems doing. And then we offer tight security and we identify a specific slot where you'll book your car. That's our team. And we shall now move to the prototype.
So, it's displaying there. So in our prototype, technical team. Okay, that's our application, Instapark. So in this application, we are showing you, like for instance, the parkings that are available in Makutano. That's one of the parkings, and in Meru Town and Kubu, this gives us a room for expansion to incorporate other parkings. So in this, the parking slots that you see that have cars, they have already been booked, so you can't book that one already. So let's go with the one that has not been booked. So we give you to choose a date that you are booking for that parking, then the time you are booking, and the time you are checking in and the time you are checking out. So we allow you to type the vehicle type because some cars are huge than others. So let's say, okay. So this is how we show you the details of what you have booked and showing you even the charges per hour, the time you are checking in, the date, and the amount. So you pay by one click, we show you the receipt which will be sent to the officer that's in the parking. So and then we'll show you the directions by, okay, sorry, I don't know. So we have incorporated the Google Maps in our application, whereby we'll show you even the directions to the parking. So it will save on time and also the fuel that you will consume when you are searching for parking. And thank you. That's our presentation.
Thank you.
Next, Dira. If you have questions, just note them down. We'll ask questions after we're done with that.
Kuna flash. Ile flash ya waya ndio niliweka.
He's requesting for another chance. He does demonstrate, so. George, you present after the auto split.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can sit and set up. Can we have this front two seats so maybe you can move back?
Today we are strict 5 minutes. If you don't finish within 5 minutes, you don't give your, okay? So you can come with set up, then
Saidia flash. Juu ya kamera sitasimama tena. Unisaidie flash wakimalizia. Sawa.
No, you didn't save it on this machine?
No, it wasn't saved on the machine. Ile machine nyingine ya
Yeah,
presentations.
Isaac?
No, we were using this.
We were using this one, not there.
Mimi sikupresent na yenye ilikuwa na Zoom live. It was this one.
Meet you guys. Flash. Where's that flash? I can't trace. Okay. You have it?
No, but
just save it there and put it.
You got it?
Yeah, just save it. We'll call it after this. Japan.
Yes,
so we'll save it to the flash disk.
Hi guys, sorry, it's called Demo Gods.
You blocked the project.
I'm sorry. So, so as we're waiting for the slides, that's slides technical pitch. So let's talk about the project that we have. So my name is Seth Wabe, and the project that we have is called Autosploit. So recently we have had security breaches that are associated with information leakage and data breaches, and mostly it has been caused by lack of visibility into what assets we have on a particular organization. So we decided to come up with this particular solution. Just talk about a few events. We have the Equifax breach that breached almost all the Americans' taxpayers' information. We also have breaches that happened locally in the country, nationally, and so we wanted to create a solution for that. So we came up with the Autosploit to bring up visibility into the network and assets. So with Autosploit, we are able to know all the subdomains that are associated with the main domain that you have for your particular organization. For example, in our school here, we have must.ac.ke. So we have a couple of subdomains that are associated with most.ac.ke. So those are the things that we are targeting to solve. And with Autosploit, you can be able to know all the subdomains, all the services that are running, and everything that is out there on the internet, and anything that could lead to any security breach for your particular organization. So with this, we are able to detect early enough whether we have something that we have forgotten on the internet or something that we want to protect before the malicious people find it. So yeah, basically that's what our project entails. So maybe if you can just show a small demonstration of what the interface entails. Yeah. So generally, our solution and framework targets. It's a technical solution. So it targets majorly cybersecurity and penetration testing companies. It's also targeting network administrators and also system administrators for a particular organization. So yeah, it's not meant for the general public. It's a technical solution. So it's targeting the technical people with the technical proficiency. Yeah.
Time is up. George.
Go prepare. Just come when you're ready, okay?
After this, Ikani. What the next?
Nutricare.
Then we have the big product.
So after George, we will take questions from the three presentations. The first presenters, we will give you the last towards the end, just to demonstrate that. And we are strict on time. Please, if you are coming, make sure you are ready. Start. Yep. You are ready?
Hello everyone, my name is George and I'll be presenting Dira. Dira is an app that will be showing you where those products are when you visit that new place. So
So as I wait for my slides, maybe something small about Dira. Now, it's good we have visitors here today, and you would want, as a visitor, to get to know where you would want to buy goods, some certain products. So, Dira will help you as you visit new places. You'll be able to find products. So we are trying to solve the problem of you being in a new place and you being not able to find the products that you're used to, given the likes of milk. Opportunity here is, now maps are inadequate to direct you to the sellers of products, and an app that checks a seller's inventory and directs you to that seller is much better. So we'll be looking at what that shop will be selling, how much they're selling it at. We compare that to other sellers, and they'll be able to direct you to whatever seller you choose. Solution is, we build you an app that will allow a seller to manage their inventory. That is for the shop owners. We'll be able to direct you to the product and the one who is selling it, and an app that allows you to compare the product before being directed to the seller. So we are giving you control here. We give you the product, the prices. Once you choose the product, we take you to the person selling it or the shop they are selling it at. So how does it work? Yeah, you log in. If you're a shopper or that tourist, you subscribe. If you're a shop owner, you set your products or you add your products to manage your shop. Search for products. Now you're a customer, so you'll be searching products. You want to compare the prices of those products. Then you select a product and we take you to the person selling it. We are still testing this solution. Who am I competing with? 1, Google Maps. 2, Microsoft Maps. And 3, Apple Maps. You discover that these competitors will provide map services to to direct the user to the location, not the product. Another challenge is these competitors only offer solutions to the people who have their devices. So Microsoft Maps will only run on Microsoft devices. My solution will be able to run on your device, whatever the operating system that you're using. So you're a shop owner in Kenya, you have an Android phone, and then we bring in a tourist with their iPhone. They'll be able to search your product and they'll be able to locate you. Commercialization. Who will be subscribing? The shop owners. So this application will be subscription based. You who has a shop will be subscribing to us. Then why would you be subscribing and not the tourist? We are bringing the customer to you. So that's why we make money. We'll be giving you a free trial period the first time you subscribe, and you'll be using a very secure Google payment method. My budget. Now once I'm given that funding, I'll be able to market my solution. I'll be able to also provide online resources for my customer. Lastly, you can contact me through my email and my phone number as displayed on the screen. I would like to ask if there's any questions. Okay. Yeah.
The demo?
Demo, we are still testing the application.
So after that presentation, we'll take questions for the presenters of the adjustments.
Next presenters, please. Next presenter.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Kirema Ikandi, and I am the team lead for NutriCare Calc. So NutriCare Calc is a software that is configured to do nutrition assessment, nutrition diagnosis, and also provision of the right care for the patients who have specific medical conditions. So what is the problem? Today in the world, we have a triple burden of malnutrition. And what is the triple burden of malnutrition? We have overnutrition and undernutrition. So the overnutrition leads to obesity and overweight, which is a predisposing factor to cardiovascular diseases, the cancers, what most people regard as lifestyle diseases. Another case is the case of undernutrition, and right now in Kenya, specifically, we have a band of under 5 children who are undernourished. And also the same number of children who are under 5, we have a third of them dying because of undernutrition. The same level of undernutrition is also affecting pregnant women. More than half of women who are pregnant in Kenya today, they have inadequate nutrient intake. So another issue that we are facing is that time wastage in service delivery. You realize that in an ideal situation, in an hospital, mostly 3 hours in 8 working hours in a day are wasted on paperwork, retrieval of patient information, and for follow-up cases. So this issue has been compounded by COVID-19, and therefore, the company solution that I present NutriCare Calc, a software that has been configured to do those particular assessments and would have taken longer time. It has been configured, including formulas from the World Health Organization, to do a thorough analysis of these particular patients. So also the software is advanced to the level of it is at a prototype phase. So it is also registered with the Kenya Copyright Corporation, and it is integrated with the Kenya Food Composition Table. This is my unique selling proposition. The Kenya Food Composition Table is only existing in Kenya because it was done in 2018 by Food and Agricultural Organization, and it has all the foods that are consumed in Kenya. So it is able, when a clinician is able to prescribe or a nutritionist is able to prescribe a food to manage a specific medical condition, is able to refer to the foods that are existing in Kenya right now, such this particular case makes it unique, therefore contextualizing care to a unique, to the local context. Now, the market opportunity that I have, right now we have 3,956 public hospitals, 2,652 private hospitals, and also the non-governmental organizations that have programs that are made majorly in preventive and curative care for the patients. So the revenue streams for this particular software that we came up with is that there will be we will be generating revenues from the direct sales of the software. And also, people can be able to download the software from the Google Play Store. Also, charges that are generated from the licenses that are given from when someone prescribes. So here I have my growth plans. First, I need to develop a mobile Android app that can be used by for personal assessment, that can be able to inform of the decision of the kind of food that you have been able to consume based on the diagnosis that's been given by a clinician. And then the request that we're asking is from the development partners to help fund the project so that it can be able to be scaled up to a bigger scope. And finally, this is my team. I am the executive director. Oko Gutu is the strategy and partnership lead, and clinical, and Richard Karingori is the clinical technical advisor. Finally, good nutrition provides a foundation for human development and scaffolding needed to ensure that all human reaches their full potential. Therefore, NutriCare Calc software will ultimately contribute immensely to the improved health outcomes. Thank you.
So we'll take questions from the previous presenters. I had indicated that we record the questions. Yes, they here.
I want to start with that one.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say you did a very good presentation. Followed everything that's needed to be in a pitch deck. That was amazing. And is it an app or guided that's supposed to take over?
Okay. Respond to that question. Basically, what I have is an app that is able to run on a PC, but not on a mobile platform. Because most of the things that happens in the hospital, we have desktops that patients usually, the data for the patient usually input there. So once the patient enters the hospital, all those parameters that are taken for the assessment, like weight, height. For children, we have mid-upper arm circumference, we have weight for height. That is the kind of information that is taken from the patient. Therefore, what happens is that when a clinician or a nutritionist or a nurse inputs this particular data, the system is able to auto-generate information regarding this particular patient in terms of the nutrition status, whether the person is overweight or obese, whether the person is underweight, whether the person is, and therefore informed by that particular decision. Also, you can also use the medical condition that the patient has been diagnosed with, so that you can be able to tailor the care for this particular patient. And how do you tailor the care for the patient is you refer to the food composition table so that you can be able to print a diet printout for this particular patient, specifically for management of a condition. Let's say, for instance, a person is having HIV and at asymptomatic phase. What really happens is that they have energy increment to around 10%. So this 10% can never be, you can never really bring it out in orally, rather than you doing it practically. And through the practical way that you can be able to do it is devising the foods that they are taking that is equivalent to the 210 kilocalories, in addition to that which they are required to consume in a day.
Actually, I'm interested because actually I'm trying to manage my weight, so you have your customer from everything.
Yes.
So the thing is, there are so many apps that have tried to do that, and I've tried so many, but we don't find solution, because what you are talking about is just the BMI. I've been taking that thing for the last several months. So I think it's a great starting point that you need to improve. If you can be able to get the body fat index and such kind of stuff, I think that would be a level where you can be able to.
That one is already factored in. I am able to get the ideal body weight. If you are, right now the BMI is done, and then you realize that, let's say you have a BMI of 35, which is or maybe obese class 2, I can be able, the system is configured to give you an ideal body weight, how much weight you need to lose to achieve that. So therefore, guided by, because it is an there will be an interaction between you and the person who is going to give you the guidance. So what will happen is that they will use the foods that are locally available and probably that have high fiber content, so that you can be able to manage the condition, probably reduction of weight. But this is also something that can be done with a team of other things, including exercises and the right diet. That's all.
Yes, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the good development. I'm seeing 3 main challenges. One is that which BMI are you using? Americans, Chinese, or which BMI? Because we don't have BMI for Africans. That's why he's facing a challenge. We are using American BMI, whereas their height and their size is different. 2, we lack information of our local foods in detail. For example, if you are asked, why are people eating doma now from breakfast, thinking it's a low-calorie food, or it doesn't have glycemic index high, which is not proven scientifically. Then the people who are suffering are the low-class people. That's the one point. Even if they are advised to take these foods, they don't afford them. So how will you help solve those 3 problems?
Let me respond to the first question about the BMI. Right now, the World Health Organization usually has those categorization for the BMIs that are used worldwide. So I refer to the BMI that has been approved by the World Health Organization, of which is done in most of the countries in Kenya and other countries in the world. So the next question is flipped off.
I'll still go back.
Yes.
That World Health Organization BMI,
Yes.
Chinese don't use it, although it's recommended, because their sizes are different. For Africans, we don't have a BMI, and that's a big, big challenge in terms of, you can't compare a BMI of somebody from Lakeside to a BMI of somebody from the community.
It is.
It's factual.
It's faction debatable, but
So, I'm from food science. I understand the concept.
Yeah.
Yes. The second question was.
Yes.
I think we don't have data on the indigenous foods exactly regarding specific aspects. We are just looking through the documents.
Yeah. Just a brief response to that is that the Kenya Food Composition Table contains all the foods that are here in Kenya, and it has been analyzed, specific nutrient content per amount of the food. This with 100 grams, it will give you specific amount of carbohydrate, specific amount of proteins, and all minerals and vitamins. So this is embedded in this particular software, and it can be done.
Can I help you?
Yes.
Get a nutritionist.
I am.
When you talk about 10% of carbohydrate, doesn't mean much, because the key aspect is glycemic index and the glycemic load of that food.
I know that. This is what I respond to. Like if, for instance, when we do the dispensation of these particular nutrients, it is informed by the energy that you're supposed to consume in a day. This is in terms of the kilocalories. Let's say, for instance, you have 2,000 kilocalories that you're supposed to consume in a day. It is distributed as per the amount of the proteins that you're supposed to. If it is 50%, that is supposed to come from the carbohydrate, 30% is supposed to come from the proteins. There are 20% is supposed to come from the fats. So there is a distribution as per this particular categorization. So that's.
Thank you. That's work. That's a lot.
Yeah, sure.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah,
Get
sure.
a nutritionist who can help you to optimize the herbs. Because if I take 20 grams of protein from beans and 20 grams of protein from meat, is it the same?
No,
it's not
I
the
hear
same.
you.
So there are those details which matter. Also, my friend, I think you need to take into account the genes. I can eat a lot, not put weight. You can eat very little, put a lot of weight.
Professor, finally, the reason why
Two more questions.
The reason why I am responding to you is because this is a prototype, and it also is subject to those kind of contributions so that they can become better.
Thank you.
I also have a background in nutrition, so I am well informed on the same.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know you are experts in food science. I want to take two questions from Dr. Rikubai and Director Anne.
Thank you very much.
Very briefly. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm concerned, and I would like this congregation to come out here with clear advice. And actually, I call upon our professor because WHO is the gold standard when it comes to medical information. So he has categorically indicated that the BMI we use is not conclusive. So what's your recommendation, Prof? Because we have students here and we should lead them in the right direction.
For academic purpose, it can be used, but for real life issues, it cannot.
But we have been managing diabetes, hypertension, cardiac condition for the last 50 years using the same. So are we saying we have been leading up?
You could have two levels. Each one is better. So it's better to have a better level than worse one. Yet we don't have BMI for Africans. I stand corrected. Because our body sizes are totally different from Americans, from Chinese, from other countries. I know currently China, they have their BMI.
Okay.
So what's the gap for our students? You see, we can maybe come up with ours here.
That's what we want now. Let them do.
So the gap should inform.
One for us.
The gap should inform. I think it's a good researchable area.
Yeah.
I'm not from food science, but I believe that's how we can identify an area we can work on. Unless, Dr. you had a different opinion.
Not really for this.
Okay. Director, Anne.
Thank you. Mine is on the business aspect.
Yeah.
You're saying this is an app that can be used on laptops.
Yes.
So what is your target market? The hospitals only to sell the app to hospitals? Ama, can an individual like you have the app to use for myself? And then how are you going to make money out of it?
Thank you. The application right now, because it is a prototype, I have plans of coming up with a mobile application that can be used for individual assessment.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think we stop at that. Any other questions to the Instapack? And please, you can have your seats. Yes, Director.
Yes, I have a number of questions.
Yes.
There was a group called EATS.
It's yes.
And I was developing some interest and then we went back.
Oh.
And because they are talking of cafeteria management system,
Uh-huh.
from where I come from, I think about business. I saw this. I would like to understand the business line in that, how we can probably make some money out of that. They are talking of a cafeteria and we have a cafeteria. I would also like to know from them whether those of us who are at this end of the university maybe can place an order at the cafeteria and sit in this building. Maybe they can shed some light and the business aspect of it.
So as you respond to your questions, your colleague can demonstrate very quickly. Any questions to the Instapack team? Those who are doing packing? Yes, Prof?
Thank you. I think they were doing something an app to identify
parking space, yes.
Your car, and the kind. Have they taken into account that there are some parkings which are already paid for by different enterprises?
By different enterprises. Paul, you could respond to that. Are you aware that there are organizations that have already paid for parking outside the premises? And how is your app dealing with that?
And also, as he's responding, sometimes you find some parkings are closed. How will they be taken into account of that? Sometimes there are road constructions, or I come at the park, even not pay.
Yes, Paul, and
I think, yes, we have put that in account. We know that there are parkings that have already been paid for. And I think the application is optional for people who want to use that. It's not for everyone. It's for people who have, we are focusing on private parking areas. We might expand to the public one, but for now we are focusing on the private parking areas. So if you have a parking area and it's private and you need help in managing it, you need us. If you have a car and probably you do not want to spend a lot of time searching for someone to park your car, you need us. So for instances where maybe your place, whatever you want does not fit according to what you're offering, it's optional. Yes, I don't need to answer the question.
Thank you, you have answered, but I'm trying to see a situation where, for me, I've come and park illegally, and then somebody else has paid on, I have to come and park on the parking I've parked. You're following?
Yes.
Yes, people do that. I come, park I've not paid, but in your app it shows it's vacant. Somebody else pays for that place and comes there and finds there's another car.
Okay, so we have also put in consideration that not everyone is using the app. And definitely for the app to notify you that the place is empty or there is a car that is parked there, there will be sensors that will be mounted on the parking area. So if there's a sensor, the sensor will be able to identify, is this space empty or is it occupied? So the person who is using the app
we've identified that problem.
Thank you. I think it's
Answer.
satisfactory answer.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Okay. Yes, to respond to the business model, yes, the users of the system, the student and staff will load their wallet. There will be a wallet load charge. There will be a charge for meal delivery. There will also be transaction-based charges, and the final income stream will be advertisements, because it will be a platform that will be common among all young people in all universities. Therefore, businesses would like to run their advertisements on the receipts or also in the in-app. Those are the income generating streams.
Okay, and also, any other question? Yeah.
Now, in regard to maybe, okay, in regard to our cafeteria and maybe rolling out to other institutions, we want them to know how it is going to be used. I mean, for the university, like, you know, this are large university. We have some people at the hospital, we have others at the Innovation Center, we have others at the far end, and I want to believe it is the scenario in many universities. So how can it help people like us, you know, who live far, maybe to bring orders for foods and the like?
Yes, once you create an account there, you'll be able, the entire cafeteria will incorporate this system. You will be able to see the meals that are available, which will be uploaded by the cafeteria manager. Then, if you are far and you want to take a meal, it will be very easy from the system. You just select the meals that you want to purchase, then pay for the meals, and there is a delivery system whereby a student will deliver the meals to you. For example, here at the Innovation Center, probably you would have ordered meals, they would have been brought here at a fair fee for the student, yes, and the university also.
So how are you as innovators going to make money out of this?
Yes, we are going to make money from the transaction-based charges. Once you buy, we're going to make, let's say, a shilling from you and any other person who buys a meal. And also, we're going to make money from the platform offers advertisement opportunities to companies, because these receipts, they have adverts at the rear end, and also the application itself can have ads.
Does your system have a feedback system? Maybe if you order some food you don't like it, where you can give a feedback to the manager?
Demonstrate.
So, brief demo. So, with me here is a receipt, printer, a portable printer, it's thermal. So, assuming I'm the cashier and you are the student, you'll be provided with a QR code like this one. And the work of the cashier will be just to scan using his mobile phone. It opens the camera, then once the QR code is identified, the printer should be able to print automatically without having to enter more details. So with this receipt, you can present it to the people who serve food, and they'll give you whatever you have ordered.
Also, on the same, I have a brief. This should show how the meals will be updated by the cafeteria manager. You'll add an image, believe details, price, quantity. You can see, you add a name, a price. Yes, and the quantity that is available. This will only be done once. The system will, as persistence, it will remember these details. Only the quantities will be changing regards to the new quantity the following day. Then an update will be done. Then on your question about the university can see what is happening in the system. This is a store control for our program, which shows, you can see the meal that was introduced has just been updated in the system. Also it appears there, the sales that are made, everything. Yeah, basically everything is. Yeah.
Have you thought about rolling your products to the market? What are your ideas about rolling out the business? Are you going to market it to institutions? the university?
Yes, our idea was to, if Meru University can like this idea and partner with us so that we both make money from it, and the university helps us to reach, if the university can tell them we have this, you can take.
Final question?
Yes, thanks for the nice presentation, but I don't think really you have solved the problem we experience in the environment. For example, here in our cafeteria.
Yes.
What we have done is to pick the cafeteria and bring it online so that it can be tracked. Think of it this way. We are in classes, lunch time, it's between 1 to 2, and you have 200 students who want to be served with the meal. And you have to follow the same protocol you are showcasing there. They must be served with the food. So there are two things here. Have you tuned that you are suggesting you have worked it out?
Yes.
Because for you to receive there,
yes,
pick it, now assume you are 200 students, you're still in the queue, okay? So what you have done is to pick, in my understanding, the cafeteria, what we do there, we bring it to the system. But the real problem has not been addressed.
Yes, it has been addressed. Yes, what happens at the moment you go there, you ask the cashier what is there, then he tells you ugali, beans, all these stories. Then you say to him, I want ugali, beans and cabbage.
Yes, I'm saying
then you give him money.
You have brought the menu. We are seeing
yes, so that has already been taken out, which means that time has been saved already. You have seen the receipt is quick, and this is a small printer, it's not even fast.
What about the queuing thing you are saying you have solved?
The queuing thing, we are solving this by allowing the students to have the meals brought to them instead of going there to queue.
How many people would do that to serve 300 students during lunch hour time? The delivery team?
The delivery team. Yes, the more you deliver, the more money you make. Therefore, I think the delivery team will be motivated to deliver more meals. Yeah. To be commission based.
Fine.
Okay,
Then,
fine.
maybe you can add one more thing that often when we visit the cafeteria, it is true they make a printout like this one, they write the things that they have there. So I think there is also reduction of the time that maybe you spend reading out from the list and then telling them write down this and then by the way at a chapati meisha. So you find that by the time you get there, we are done. I think there will be that reduction in time. If indeed that one can be sorted out, it would cut the time by half.
Yes, that is actually.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. You can take your seat. Do you have any question to Dira?